Welcome back, everybody, to the Learning Can't Wait podcast. I'm excited to introduce you to our next guest. We have an incredible leader coming from Avondale High School in Avondale School District in Michigan, Mr. Doug Wilson. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
It's not every day I have principals on the podcast. So I look forward to whenever I have that opportunity. And I'm really excited to hear about the way you're being forward thinking in your community and how you're leading your school for change. So how about we dive right in?
Sure.
All right. So my first question is always, how did you come to be the personal and professional version of yourself?
Lots of failing forward, lots of collaboration, and I think at the end of the day, it's a lot of asking questions of myself, asking questions about how I am impacting what people are thinking about, and realistically for kids, like how can we do things better, and if we're not, then what changes need to be put in place and how can we do that? And so continuously asking that question allows for me to be reflective and make changes. And that's where I've gotten today.
It takes, I always say, like, if the leader that comes on talks a lot about failing, I always appreciate that because it shows humility from the start of the conversation. Tell us a little bit about Avondale and tell us about what makes your school unique or special or different that has you excited to lead it.
We are a school of around 900 to 950. We've got some online kiddos that are on there as well. We are an extremely diverse school, both socioeconomic, ethnically, academically. We have a wide variety of kiddos here, and we really are a picture of what you would like the world to look like. And so we have great opportunities to step forward and impact a ton of different kids and have opportunities to be able to go, hey, cool, this is a group of kiddos that we saw a great impact on. How can we share that out? Or, hey, you know what? We've identified this group of kiddos and we're not really doing the best that we can for them. How can we tweak what we're doing? And really have a full picture of how we can help all kids. And that's really what is cool about this building and this district, is that we're really focused on all kids, not just a group of kids, and we're constantly asking questions about and any group of kids and how can we do better for them. And that is also with the staff that we have here. Our staff is focused on collaboration. They're focused on how can we have a mindset of moving forward. And that can be tiresome. It's not about being stagnant. It is about how do we reflect what we are doing in our practices so that our kids can see that in us as well, and that learning is together, and that it is about student ownership and not about disseminating information to people, from adults to kids, and saying, hey, we have all the answers.
That's not easy to do. You say it very casually to have this like buy-in from your community, both from the student level, but especially from the school teacher level and the community, like the professionals working in your building. Can you talk to me a little bit about how you've cultivated that buy-in and that mindset and how you continue to enforce and support it as you lead?
Sure. I think enforce is a bit of a tough word. I think I would use the word um, uh, collaborate in that. So there's a level of professional accountability that goes along with that, right? But it was really developed from relationships. Like, trust has to be there in order to take risks. It's what we expect from our kids to do. And in order for that to happen, there has to be a relational understanding that if risk is taken and if people are willing to step forward, that you're going to step forward with them, that you're not pushing them off the ledge. My professional belief is One of my superpowers is making people feel professionally uncomfortable in their space so that they have to constantly move forward. And that's through asking questions about, okay, cool, what are you doing now? That's great. What are you going to do next? What is this going to look like for this kiddo this next time that you see them? What are you going to be doing in your classrooms? And having those conversations. So it's not to me, learning and this kind of mindset is not a one time we have a conversation and you get super excited about something that could happen. It's really the follow-up. It's okay, you know what? You're telling me that you're going to do this next week. Then I'm going to come down and I'm either going to be in your classroom to see what's happening, or I'm going to come down and ask you, hey, what did that look like? And then we're going to hear what that step is and the successes or the failures and go, okay, cool. You were successful. What things do you think that you could do differently to bring in? Did you get feedback from the kids? Did it actually impact them? Do you know that it impacted them versus you feeling that it impacted them? Those are two very different questions. And then also giving the teachers the ability and the staff members the ability to have their creativity be a mainstay in what we're doing. They know the kids, they see the kids, and their ability to go, cool, I see this, let me try this out, and know that the administrator is not going to be like, hey, you know what, this is all about the grades, this is all about XYZ, but it's about learning and how do you create the best learning opportunity. That's really where it is centered as, and that has been over the course of years. And it starts a lot with asking the questions, but it's more, it also leads into how are you setting up interviews to begin with to hire the staff on that are going to lead this work, and how are you going to be upfront with them about this is what your space that you're moving into, and this is the space that we're going to be, and know that when you're here, we are going to ask you to be better every day, and we're going to ask you to be reflective about how you can identify how you are going to be better every day, because we want you to model that for kids.
You know, you named early in the conversation that you fail forward. I imagine that if that's your personal mindset, it also comes to play in your community. So, what does it look like when a teacher fails, right? They try something new. How does that conversation sound?
There's a lot of laughter. There is a lot of, my gosh, this is what I tried. This is what happened. And then we have conversations, and literally the first question that I ask is always, what was the goal? What were you trying to get to? What was the purpose that you were moving towards? And how did you go about putting that together? What feedback did you get? Did you elicit feedback from the kids? Did you talk to your other peers that are working through similar things? Like, how did you prepare for this, and what was your goal? And then what did it look like, and why do you think that it did what it did? And how can you not live in a bubble by yourself, right? How can you get some community to help you out? How do you ask your kids to go, look, what do you think the goal was for what happened yesterday? And if they answer you completely off from what you thought, then you're like, okay, cool, I've got the feedback that I need to do. Okay, kids, how do you think that I could have accomplished this better? How could I have communicated this in a way that would have been more helpful to you to get to this goal? I don't want to give you the answers and I don't want to give you the pathway, but I do want to be able to get to this endpoint. And obviously we missed that mark. And so then the conversation is cool. Okay, so when are you gonna do this again? It's never, okay, that failed, you're not gonna do it again. It's
Yeah,
okay.
like you have to get back on the horse, right? You
Yeah,
got to
right.
get
So
on and ride.
what iterations are you going to put together? Because you're going to expect this for kids, right? We want iterations to occur. That's where learning happens. So what are you going to iterate, and how are you going to do this? And how are you going to look for different feedback next time? And what little steps or successes are you going to be able to find? One of the major, I think, issues that staff have is when they try something new, they expect it all to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, then they consider it a failure. But 8 of those 10 things that you did could have worked marvelously, and the 2 things are the ones that we focus in on, right? So it is identifying those areas of what were the successes, where did you land and you impacted kids learning, and what does that look like, and how do you build off of those, and then how do you tweak the things that you want to grow on?
You know, it's funny because I obviously I work in ed tech and I am a vendor. My company is a vendor that schools purchase. And very often I will, in meetings that I'm in, I'll say like, hey, you know, we're getting ready to do this. We're getting ready to implement. I want you to expect that things are going to go wrong. And
Right.
sometimes the faces of the folks that are on the school's end, like shock. And I'm like, well, you can't if you expect everything to go right all the time, you're setting yourself up and your community up for disappointment. So I really value that you are encouraging the team and your community to push past that level of discomfort because ultimately at the end of the day, failing is where you learn. And so you have to fail in order to learn.
Yeah, as long as you are reflective in that failure, right? And not putting yourself in a position of, well, I that didn't work. I'm not going to try that
I'm
again.
done. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how my 9-year-old acts sometimes. We need our adults to be a little bit more refined in their fortitude and grit and
Yeah.
perseverance.
Yeah.
Doug, one of the things that got me really excited about talking about this conversation is your personal mindset as it relates to emergent technology.
Yeah.
Talk us through how you've embraced some of the rapid proliferation of available tools in schools and why you've adopted this bullish mindset.
Um, well, I think part of it has to do with just my love of technology. So I would consider myself a technophile. The new opportunities that are in front of us give us a tremendous amount of access to things that we've never had access to. And when education is really focused on equity and access to all, technology gives us an avenue that is efficient and effective when it is used appropriately. I will say that one of the things that you used the term bullish, and I would agree with that on some level. I think we missed the mark when cell phones came out. Cell phones came out, and we gave them out to everybody, and there was no management, no coaching, no teaching. And now we are living in this world where we're living in the repercussions of the consequences of that, right? And most of those have been negative. But when you look at the tools that are on the cell phones, the tools that are on there, if used appropriately, are fantastic communication tools. They're fantastic ways to be able to look up information or communicate, whatever that may be. And I see that in the technologies that we are faced now with, especially AI. AI has given us opportunities to reach kids in ways that they have never been reached before. They have given tools to our staff members to be more efficient and creative than they've ever been before. But we have a very small window to either be scared of it or adopt it and accept it. And then use it as a way for us to be able to coach and guide and put reasonable parameters on the technology to use it in a way that our kids can grow. And if we're scared of it and we don't push forward on it and we don't look for ways to incorporate it, it's going to get to our kids anyway, and they are going to utilize it in ways that we don't want them to utilize it, and it's going to be harmful for them, and it's going to be harmful for society in the future if we don't help to identify what those are. And the best way we can do that is getting our hands on as much as we can, playing around with it, giving the people opportunity to play around with it, get a level of comfort. Because with technology, it's never going to change. Nothing's going to slow down. It's going to get faster. And if we just ignore it, then we're going to be left behind and we can't help our kids. And our kids are going to continue on, right? They're going to continue to get whatever new tech is in their hands in whatever way possible. And we have a responsibility to help them think through what the positive and negative consequences are of all of those, and to help them see how it can be used continuously in a positive way.
Yes. So what are your favorite tools right now? Like what for personal productivity, what's something that you are really reliant on or excited about using every day?
So I would say I use ChatGPT a lot as a resource for really a lot of different tools, whether that's letters of recommendation, whether that is designing systems, whether that's just coming up with ideas on how we take information in one way and bringing it to another. Another one that I've been using a lot is Notebook LM. I've been talking that went up at all the conferences that I've been going to as well for the ability to refine searches, listening to the podcasts that are on there that they create, just the ability to look at a mass amount of information in a small amount of time and ask very specific questions. Perplexity is out there as well. I mean, a lot of them are tools that are being used for searches and ideating, and that's really the space um, that I live in right now is ideating and efficiency when it comes to time saving. Our building in our district uses Magic AI, or sorry, Magic School. I apologize, Magic School, and that is something that we're going to be moving into with a license for next year. Again, it allows for us to really get our kids exposed to it, right? In a pretty safe environment.
You've named some really awesome tools. I use all the ones you named for personal use. I use every single day as well. I use them to prepare for this interview. I use them post facto. I find that they really increase efficiency. What kind of approach are you taking in the high school to having teachers use it in the classroom? Not just Magic School, but in teaching the digital literacy that's required to be more on top of the ball than we were with cell phones. What does that sound like in your classrooms in your school?
So to us, everything is supposed to be intentional, right? We want to be on the front end of it all. So we don't want people to be scared of what the technology is. We want people to be respectful of it and what the power is there, and ultimately what the goal is as well, right? We want our kids to be able to learn. We don't want to see what a program can create to produce a product. So the learning that we are pushing our teachers to have is be open and honest. Like if you want an output from them, then know that they're going to use ChatGPT. And if you create a situation that is going to elicit them to use those kinds of tools, that's the kind of output that you're going to get. So we have to be creative and go, look, if we want to do an analysis, let's put it in the chat GPT and see what analysis is going to give us. And let's then compare what our analysis would be to what chat GPT did to see whether or not there are biases that are there, or to see if there are ways that it analyzed it differently than what we would have analyzed it as. Also to use it as a tool for asking it questions to help out. How do you use it as a tutor? If we wrote a paper, all those papers don't need to come to me as the teacher. You guys have the opportunity to use these and go, hey, are these sentences grammatically correct? Does this have a flow, right? So how are we giving our kids opportunities to find prompts and learn prompts in a way that is supporting the learning rather than replacing the learning? And that is, so we are really challenging our teachers to go look at what you're asking our kids to do. Does it match up with your learning goals? And how do you use AI as a tool to not only help with your creative juices, but to also give the kids a tool to say, hey, I'm learning this. How can I ask it some better questions so that I can help my learning forward? And I can do that any place, right? I can put that on my phone. I can do it at my home. And I can start to ask better questions about my own learning. And then it goes outside of the classroom. So that's really where we're focusing on, is how do we create opportunities that engage with appropriate digital literacy, and have those conversations in real time while giving our kids real time, authentic opportunities to wrestle with these kinds of things.
I get an opportunity to talk to leaders all the time, and learn from leaders and listen to leaders. And what I've noticed is that I think there's a really thankfully strong consensus that the train is on the tracks, and how we handle this moment is really important, because the world our kids are graduating into is fundamentally different than the world that when they were born, and even the world 5 years ago.
Yep.
Um, I can't even fathom the jobs my own children will have one day. I don't think they exist yet.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
really better equip our kids and help our kids feel confident and, like you named, recognize bias, recognize errors. Um, that's hugely important. What are the student sentiments in Avondale about AI and emergent technologies such as AI?
There is I think the original sentiment was cool. I'm going to get an easy A now in my classes. Right? I mean, that's the place that everybody went to was like, oh my gosh, all my kids are going to cheat, and all the kids are like, oh cool, I can use I can just get easier A's because I'm going to get A's on all my homework. I
Yeah.
think as we begin these conversations and we are actually having real legitimate conversations about what AI could be and what it should be used for,
Mhm.
our kids have a better grasp that this is bigger than just a let me ask it to do my math homework tool.
Right.
And that's super important because we have to be intentional about, yes, it can do your math homework, but is that the ultimate point of what we're trying to do? And if we're not asking that as staff members, right, as teachers, as educators, we're missing the boat. And so our kids that are actually able to slow down are like, cool, I have so many answers at my fingertips, and the possibilities are really endless for us to be able to go through this. You always have those hiccups of, hey, you know what? I can use this for evil or I can use this for good. And there's always those individuals that are going to test those lines. And those lines, unfortunately, then create rules and laws that go around those. And so there is some sentiment of like, oh man, in a school setting, are they gonna close the doors on us being able to use these kinds of things? But in the grand scheme of it, it's not good for the building to shut those kinds of things down, because as soon as they walk out of the building, or they have their cell phone in their hands, they're back into being exposed to it in the first place, right? So we can't not address those things. And having it be a part of our building and our students' lives means that it is becoming more of a normal experience. And then we can get past the kind of teenage mentality of let me push the boundaries, and now it's okay, cool. Yes, we know that it's here. Yeah, we pushed all the boundaries. That's boring now. Let's actually get down and how can we use this for us to be able to move our thinking and learning. It personalizes it a lot.
Yeah, no, I understand that completely. What are some things tech related or not tech related that you're really excited for next school year?
I think the continuation of the development of AI. So that's going to be something that we are going to focus on this next year. It has been a focus since the beginning, but it has been hey, look, we just want you to get your feet wet with these kinds of things. With the district that we are in that is going to purchase a license with Magic School AI, and the amount of resources that even ChatGPT is putting out now, there really does need to be an intentional focus on how are we using it as staff, how are we exposing our kids to students, and how are we changing our assessment methodologies to reflect that. We've done some of that because we do a lot of in-person, in real time assessing. So the kids are showing us their learning right now, and we'll continue to adapt that. But from a technology standpoint, an integration, so that it is just commonplace when you walk into any room, any place in the building, that it's there, and it's there in a positive way that we know how to use it is what we're looking forward to for next year. This is going to be one of those times that I'm going to pause you because you're muted.
Thank you. All right, I'll say that again. So, Douglas, I've learned a lot about you and your community and what you all are building towards and how you're approaching a lot of different challenges that you have before you. For my final question, I'm just curious, what advice would you give a teacher who's starting their career today?
Uh, be willing to try things that you never thought were possible. Uh, Go into the classroom, and know that the classroom is not what you are limited to. That learning is about giving students an opportunity to experience, to iterate, to learn, to communicate, and to try things out just like you are doing on your first day. And that your second day is going to be better than your first day, but it is all based on whether or not you are willing to embrace those that are in your charge with relationships and high expectations, and know that every day is a day that you give kids a chance to be better and do better for us as a society.
I love that. Douglas, thank you so much for, first of all, reaching out, because I get to meet a new leader in a new place and share all of the work you're doing and your insights with the audience. But second of all, thank you for sharing your time and coming on the podcast today.
Absolutely. Thank you for the chance.
And thank you everybody for tuning in.